see that here. Right. We have the net cam on Instagram. So, the government's TSP accounts are for government employees, I think goes through Fidelity. Those TSP accounts at the post office anyways. It's crazy that how could they miss two $6 trillion asset management companies? It was a mortgage crisis. It was a mortgage crisis. The number one asset in the country. Why wouldn't you? Now, assets. The state revolving inside these companies. They may only have 250 billion at one time, but it's revolving in and out with the securities. So it may only be 240 or 250 billion, but it's revolving in and out of that $1 billion, never static. There's no static representation of that company, of these two companies. And the only thing I can think of is that must have told them that if they reform these asset managers, they would, because it's 2008. The only thing that they could have possibly, it's not like they intentionally left them out. Securities, if you restrict the movement on securities, you'll crash the economy. That's what they must have told them. So, like I said, Kamala Harris said it was either 56 trillion or 54 trillion. And I don't know if only to BlackRock or was it an entire swapped out or canceled? I'm sorry. That's her exact verbiage. The contracts had to be canceled. And when you cancel those contracts, there was only $1 trillion of debt left. We were working with 32 trillion. Okay, okay. Camilla just informed me that was the case with BlackRock. Now we've got to go examine. And Fidelity had 2 trillion, and I'm just going to say this from what the wiki said. And 6 trillion in market value. Were they telling us in the wiki that we are exposed by 4 trillion? Because it says they have 2 trillion in real assets. I think that's the exact verbiage it uses. And then it says they have 6 trillion in market value, which means they have a gap of 4 trillion. You'll see it right there on the first paragraph of the Fidelity investment. As a matter of fact, I think I have it up. I'll pull it up. So they gave us guidance inside the Wikipedia. Yes, they have managers in the world with 2.46 trillion in assets under management as of, and a combined total customer asset value number of 6.7 trillion. So as you see right there, asset under management, well, where's that other $4 trillion at? It's that value to me sounds like it's bought contracts, right? Bought contracts that are from somebody else, managed by somebody else, right? You buy when they exchange the derivatives to you, and you give them real estate. They've given you a security agreement that originated someplace else, right? So now you have the derivative that's managed by somebody else, perhaps the Soros brothers. I'm not sure. I don't want to continue down that path. But you have that derivative that was contracted someplace else and not in your house. And by the way, it has that notional value, not the real value. And they've probably been playing a shell game with them, passing them around, trying to keep them from expiring. Anyways, I suspect there's 4 trillion of that at Fidelity. Now, did you say, oh, okay, I have 4 trillion of it? And there you have it. There you have. That's what they did yesterday. Ended up with $1 trillion. What will they end up with? That's my layman's. Fogged up numbers were overbooked a long time ago. the entire system, really, because we can, by just attacking gaming one individual at a time, we're not getting to the depth of the system, which is at this time. And but by the research, I can tell you, your sector is resistant. It's as if they're saying, we'll just wait and see if there's a way for us to continue our corruption if they miss something. That's a scary thought. That means greed is pervasive. And by the way, that's my suggestion. Some of the stuff that pops in my mind, I know is not my immediately thought. I know somebody's in my side space. But I mean, I did the research, so that's pervasive greed, right? Is capitalism, are we always going to either have to, because of corruption, does capitalism naturally create? And that, by the way, Jesse Eisinger, I hope I pronounced his name right, Eisinger, he deserves so much, thanks. He also referenced the software that BlackRock pushes out to, I guess, its customer base as possibly a fraudulent point. And because I don't have insight into the software, he noted it in his article. But is there encryption in the software that CIA California has broken to allow it to have access into all of these accounts, right? That was my immediate thought. Side suggestion. Corruption. So encryption at the mortgage houses through the software that BlackRock and probably Fidelity pushes out. And this is from a commercial standpoint. We're not even talking about individual accounts like me and you would have, right? So does this new encryption, this quantum-based encryption, is that what we're installing at all the banks? By the way, and I totally missed the count on it. She gave me a count on the number of banks. I need to go back to my notes and find that. And I think I have to go back to my notes. I don't want to and not have. Okay, so I said, you know what I said. Okay. So much comes through at night. It's sometimes a lot to grab. sometimes I'm still trying to figure out things from the previous night, you know? And it doesn't even speak to the fact that Skynet had a bank in the sky. You know, I know that one's been resolved, but it's like we had a bank in the sky. We had all these asset management companies that were trading. The money laundering aspects of this are incredible. Here they're hiding all this money in the sky, and then, right, in Skynet, you're hiding all this money in this bank that you develop and put on servers in the sky, and then you have all these trades that you're trying to make with these asset management companies to pull the money through the system and bring back. There must be so much real estate out there, you know, and that begs the difference. Is this all the drug real estate that we see in the country? You know, is this all, did they get the real estate and then suddenly just start drug storing everything inside the real estate? Now, that's the depth of what we're seeing, you know. But the money exchange, all right. So I'm going to sign off. I think we came on one to just validate, one, you know, how it would look, and two, you know, we did our psychic validation, our key points. We stepped in 15 minutes, right? We don't want to take away. I don't want to take away from side performance. You know, I'm here in the kitchen doing this, and that's where we're at. All right. I think what it does say is that, well, let me take this away, because I was thinking this, is that once we have so many stopgaps, you start to have this trust in probably particular side performers, and you start saying, well, I know that relationship. I know that's real because he comes on all the time. You know, you start to build this trust, and then you no longer have to look back at the original, like in the podcast. You just look at the secondary podcast. You just never have to look back. But sometimes maybe you might want to look back. So, all right. Or let me take that back. The side performance would have things that aren't in my whole thought process will be in the side performance, and it would never be on video. That's value add.